So it's time for a new top 3 best budget Prebuilt gaming PCs of the month. Now keep in mind that these are my favorite 3 PCs, so if your budget is below the number 1 PC, which is around $700, don't worry, because in the description of the video you will have even lower end budget gaming desktops and you will also have higher end options. So if you can find your budget throughout this video, don't worry, because in the description you will have more options as well with the gaming PCs that I'm about to mention. The only difference between each of these gaming PCs are going to be their capabilities at 1080p, because all of these 3 gaming desktops are meant to be played on a 1080p display. If you wanna go and buy a 1440p monitor, then you will need a higher end gaming PC, and that's why I have my top 5 best overall Prebuilt PCs that I've made one day ago, and you can go ahead and watch it in the top right of the screen. Without more to say, let's start. With the first PC we have the Victus by HP. We are talking about the Victus 15L. Now if you follow the channel, you know I mentioned this PC a lot, but this is because the deal is actually pretty good for 1080p gaming and there is no game that you cannot run at least 60 FPS, but there are a couple of things that you need to upgrade in order to have a better experience with this PC. The first thing being the RAM. You want to go with 60 gigs of RAM instead of 8 gigs, and the second part is the storage. You want to go with at least 500 gigs of SSD or 1 TB of hard drive instead of 256 gigs. This is really easy to do. You can do it from the website. Just click on customize and buy and change both of those components. Now if you don't have the money to do it right now, don't worry, because these upgrades are easy to make down the line, but if you can do it right now and you have the budget to, these are upgrades that will help you out with your gaming performance, and it will also help you with how many games you can install on this gaming desktop. Now if you're thinking of playing esports titles such as CSGO and Valorant, or you want to play games like Roblox and Minecraft, this PC is actually going to be way more than enough. You don't need any gaming PC that's more expensive than this one, and you will be able to achieve even 240 FPS on average. So if you want to buy a 1080p 240Hz monitor, feel free to do it. I have a whole video as well talking about this PC, and that's why I'm not going to get into too much detail. With the next PC we have the ABS Challenger gaming PC from Newegg. This one it's on a deal right now. You end up saving $400, which is a lot, and you get a gaming PC with the i5-11400F, which is a really decent budget CPU. Then for the GPU you get the new RTX 3050, which is like the GTX 1660 Super, just slightly better on performance, and it also has new Nvidia technologies that the GTX 1660 Super doesn't have, such as ray tracing and DLSS, which are going to help you out with the graphics for your video games. Then you get 16 gigs of RAM, so no need to upgrade anything here, and 512 gigs of M.2 SSD. If you want, you can add 1 TB of hard drive, or you can add more SSD. It really depends on the games that you want to play. Just like the last one, this one is going to be capable of 60 FPS on average at 1080p in every single game, of course depending on the game and depending on the settings that you want to play, but even high demanding shooters like Warzone or high demanding overall games like Red Dead Redemption 2. My only concern with this PC is that the case isn't the best for the airflow, but since you don't have super high-end components, this might not be an issue. But if you're going to upgrade something in the future, I think that I would upgrade the case first and then the CPU. You get a 550 watt 80 plus gold power supply, so these 2 upgrades that I've mentioned are going to be more than possible. But keep in mind that this is not necessary. If you want to play it right out of the box at 1080p, it's going to work excellent, and I think that it's a huge deal because you're saving $400, which I think it's a lot for a budget PC. I wouldn't buy this PC if it was at the original price at around $1,300. I think that it will be a horrible deal considering that the PCs that you can get at that price point, but at $900 I think you cannot beat it for the price. And with the last one we have another one from ABS. This one is the Master Gaming PC. Here you get a slightly worse CPU, the i5-10400F, but it's still great for 1080p. I mean, I have the i5-9400F, and believe me, that is actually pretty good and it's still running like a champ. I play games like GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, CSGO, NBA 2K, FIFA. I play a bunch of games, and believe me that the i5-10400F, which is better than the CPU that I have, is not bad just because it's a little bit older than the other ones. And here the main difference with the other ones is going to be the GPU. It's the RTX 3060, which is way better than the other ones that I've mentioned, the 3050 and the 1660 Super. You're going to see a huge increase on the FPS, and then you get the same 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of SSD. But here there's something that's actually important and it's way better than the other ones. You get a front mesh panel, the airflow is going to be way better. You also get those 3 fans on the front, so the airflow overall is going to be much better, so the temps overall for this PC are going to be cooler, and not only that, but you're going to get more frame rates. Now the CPU, like I said before, it's slightly old. I think it's going to be way more than enough for 1080p, even for the highest demanding video games, but keep in mind that this one has a 650 watt power supply, and it's also a system integrator, so you can basically upgrade anything inside the gaming desktop. So if you want to upgrade the CPU down the line, it's totally possible, and I would recommend like the i5-12400, but that's about it. I wouldn't do any other upgrade, maybe the storage if I want to install a bunch of games, but this is not going to be an expensive upgrade. It's going to be around 50 bucks if you want to get a total of 1 TB of SSD. But just like the last one, if you want to play right out of the box, you don't want to upgrade anything in the future, this one for 1080p I think is going to be great, and you end up saving once again 400 bucks. So it's a beautiful deal now, but if it's going back at the original price, 1500 bucks, don't buy it at all. There is a lot of better options at that price point, but at $1,000 I think this one is actually your best option. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe, but most importantly hit the bell button so you get notified when I upload this type of content, which I do from 3 to 5 times a week. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.